thought that we would be off for 10 days. Everybody got some relief. Oh, 10 days off. And we could rest nicely, peacefully. But we no time for resting. When I came here, I thought, yes, it's all right. We should not miss Venugeet. We should not skip Venugeet, because from Venugeet we get lots of inspiration, and we also get to know lots of siddhants from Venugeet. Why I asked for some days off, because right now here it is 6 a.m. and Mangla Aarti will also take place. So I told devotees I won't be able to attend Mangla Aarti, and we would hear Venugeet. So they said, okay, as you feel. You can hear the background music. There is this some noise of birds, and there will be more noise because it's still dark here, and the frogs, and you will hear the sound of frogs as well, and cows, and it's a nice background music. It looks like as if we have come to Braj, to some village in Braj, and now we will hear Venu Geet. Hare Krishna. You all know Sanskrit. You must have heard its meaning, this verse. Still, I will make it easier for you to understand. Puna puna. Puna puna means again and again. The place of Giraj Govardhan. This means, let's understand it now, its meaning. Again and again, Krishna's asan. What is Giraj Govardhan? Krishna's asan. Asan is something on which one sits. So where Krishna sits, that is Giraj Govardhan. He is Krishna's asan. Like we sit on our asan. Asan means like chair or sofa, furniture, or a mat on which we sit and do our. But when we do our Guru mantra, our Diksha mantras, when we chant them, that time we should have our own private personal asana. Like we have their children in the house, husband, wife, they'll all should have their own personal asana, and one should sit on that to do their Gayatri mantras and to chant their Harinam on beats. For so long, if you can't sit on ground with your legs crossed, so still you should use your asana, place it on the sofa, and then sit on that sofa. This is one rule, paddhati. Husband's asana should be different, wife's asana should be different, and children, they should have a different personal asana, be it of any kind. So Krishna's asana is what? Krishna's asana is Giraj Govardhan, where again and again Krishna comes to sit. And Giraj Govardhan, not just Krishna, but even the birds come and sit on Giraj Govardhan, even peacocks, especially peacocks. Peacocks, here it is said the significance of peacocks. Peacocks are significant other than other birds. How? Because they offered their feather to Krishna, and when they hear Krishna's Venu Nath, Krishna's flute sound, they become excited, they enjoy it, and they start dancing. They are parrots, they are even different, many different types of birds in Braj. But peacocks are significant. Why? The significance of peacocks is that peacock's feather that Krishna carries on his head. This is the significance, importance of peacocks. And when Krishna plays his flute, Venu, and when these peacocks hear Krishna's Venu sound, they feel as if there's some sound in the clouds, as if it's going to rain, it's going to rain, it's going to rain. They feel as if these clouds are making some sound. And what happens with the sound of the cloud? The peacocks get very happy. They become very happy. The word here used for happiness is ullasya. Like I'm talking to you, we are very feeling very happy about it. We are happy by talking to each other. But when I meet you, then what will happen? Ullas. It's ullas means ullasit means very happy. More than happy actually. Ullasit. So even peacocks, like other living entities, they don't become statue. They don't become statue. They don't become statue. In fact, what they do, they become they become very happy, jubilant, and they start dancing. All the peacocks, they start dancing. And on the other side, all the living entities, when they hear Krishna's Venu sound, here it's all about peacocks actually. What is the significance of these Braj peacocks? It is that uh, all other Brajvasis, the inhabitants of Vrindavan, and other living entities, they see Krishna's beauty and they hear Krishna's flute sound, they become statue. When they see Krishna, when they hear Krishna's Venu sound, all their senses become statue, inert. They don't move. As if when we say someone statue, and they stop, they cease all their activities and they remain, they stop basically. But with peacocks, this is not the case. The moment they hear Krishna's Venu Nath, Dhwani sound, they feel as if these clouds are thundering, making some sound, and they become so happy that they start dancing. They can't stop themselves from dancing. They become so happy. And these peacocks, they start dancing. They don't become statue. They dance in happiness. When they hear Krishna's Venu Nath, okay, even the birds, the cowherd boys, the cows, the calves, the deers, the he deer, she deer, they all come to Govardhan to see this beautiful scene where peacocks are dancing and Krishna is playing the flute. Here now they're speaking the glories of Giriraj. In Govardhan, which is the asan of Krishna, where Krishna sits again and again on that asan, okay, who all comes on Govardhan to see the dance of peacocks? So when these peacocks are dancing, when when peacock dance, do you stop seeing them? No, I don't want to see. No, when a peacock dances, we all get attracted. Wow, such a beautiful dance. It's looking so pretty, and we start capturing it also. I see also, and in a year I go twice at that place. In Texas, we have an ashram. There are 5 peacocks there. when we go near them, they take out their feathers and start dancing. And our heart says you should just remain like this. You should dance very freely, and we feel so happy to see the dance of the peacocks, different birds, animals, all the animals like deers, rabbits, these kinds of animals. Because in Braj there are no violent animals. Like they are these animals. They are non-violent. So there you will only find cows, rabbits, deers, the sattvic animals, sober animals, those who are non-violent. So all these birds, they come, all these animals, birds, they come there, and all the cowherd boys, they come there. Where they come at on Govardhan, all the cows, the calves, and she deers, the wives of deers, she deers, they also come near Govardhan to see what, the dance of the peacocks. But why are peacocks dancing? When they see the beauty of Krishna and when they hear the sound of Krishna's flute, they start dancing. Because of these two reasons, the peacocks dance. The branches of the trees, they get fully crowded with the different kinds of trees, birds. What is the point of hearing all this? You will say this is something very much poetic. What is the point, benefit of hearing all this? This is our meditation. This is real Vrindavan. When we go to Vrindavan, what to say about Vrindavan? Every side, all sides, we see buildings, apartments, flats, shops. But what we are hearing right now, this is real Vrindavan. It's I saw this 25 years back, this kind of Vrindavan, which we are hearing right now. All birds, all the types of birds, they sit on the branches of different trees, and the cowherd boys, Krishna, and they stand near the peacocks where peacocks are dancing, and they praise the dance of the peacocks. Those birds, okay, even the birds are actually, what the birds are doing? Sadhu, 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 in their own language, birds' language. They are praising the peacocks and they also praise Krishna. This is the tradition there. This still happens there. Where? We saw in Mathura. In Mathura, at the banks of Yamuna River Yamuna, it's that place is called Vishram Ghat in Mathura, where Mahaprabhu also came there, and we go there for bathing. There during the time of Sandhya, evening, around 6 p.m. All the Brahmanas around 6 p.m. there, they sit there in one line, parallel lines, two lines, opposite to each other, and they do what? They sing the Kirtan of Krishna, and they speak Harikatha. They discuss the purpose. They discuss Bhagavad. They share their views on different verses. So they have a discussion there at Vishram Ghat in Mathura. So there's a wire of electric wire, and all the birds, they come there and they sit on that. The birds would just sit on top of those brahmanas on a wire, like a big crowd, as if they are listening to that discussion, to that harikatha. Why are this? Maybe they must be sadhus in their past birth, and now they hear this Krishna Katha and Krishna Nam from those brahmanas. This is about right now. This happens. And what we are hearing, what happens at Giriraji, this is 5,000 years back when Krishna was present. Sri Krishna's Anupam beauty. Krishna's beauty is what? Anupam. Anupam Madhuri Jodi Hamare Sham Shama Ki. Krishna's beautiful Anupam means which is unparalleled. You can't compare it with any other's beauty, anyone else's beauty. This kind of beauty of Krishna and his flute sound, which is what? Which is like three jagat. It wins the hearts of everybody in three planets. Krishna's Vamshi's sound, Venu Dhvani, Venu Nad. By hearing this Venu Nad, all the cowherd boys, they they forget what they have to do. They forget their different tasks, what they have to do. All the calves are, they forget to get milk from their mother, to drink milk from their mother. They all become statue, inert. It happens? Does it happen like this? In this world, does it ever happen like this? Yes, it does happen. When a special verse is discussed or a special Harikatha is being spoken, then at that time our mind won't go here and there. Our mind would be completely concentrating on that Harikatha. And like if Shukdev Goswami speaks Harikatha, then who would feel hungry at that time or thirsty or sleepy? No. They all were hearing Harikatha with attention. They are not bothered about eating, sleeping, or drinking. What is this? This is attraction. Attraction for what? Chit akarshan. Their mind, intelligence, and false ego. Their mind goes to rest. Otherwise, mind is very active. And mind is the one which guides our senses. Do this, do that, do this, do that. He guides our senses, our other 10 senses. But when Shukdev Goswami speaks Harikatha, or if we hear Krishna's Venu's sound, then what happens? Our mind doesn't work at that time. Intelligence, false ego won't work at that time. The heart will get attracted. Chit, it will get activated. That time mind won't work. That is why it is said, Shri Krishna's, all the cowherd friends of Krishna, they left all their activities and they just focused on Krishna. Even the calves who were drinking milk, they left their mother cows and they ran towards Krishna. Calves never leave the milk of their mother. Where I'm living right now, staying right now, here lots of cows are here, and they are calves as well, and they drink milk from their mothers, but they would never leave their mother when they are drinking. They get completely absorbed when they are having milk of their cows, of their mothers. But Krishna's sound, Venu's sound is how it even attracts the calves of the cows. When they are drinking milk, they leave it. They leave that activity and they run towards Krishna. So this is the bhav they are describing here, that thus Venu Nath also distracts the calves from drinking the milk. So we heard first, what is Giriraj Govardhan? Who is Giriraj Govardhan? Krishna's asan. And what happens at Girirajji? Krishna comes, He plays his flute. He plays his flute, and then what happens? All the birds they come there. They see Krishna, and they also see the dance of the peacocks. Birds, animals, cows, Brajvasis, cowherd boys, they all come to see the dancing of the peacocks. Yeah. So these rabbits, cows, calves, cowherd boys, Brajvasis, they all come at Govardhan and they just want to see Krishna's beauty. They want to hear Krishna's Venu sound and they want to see the peacocks dancing. And they all see all this together. And then what happens? One gopi speaks to another gopi. Oh, Sakhi, look, all the different types of birds and animals, they all hear Sham Sundar's Venu's sound and they become so happy that in that happiness they get so absorbed that they become like unconscious, no consciousness. And seeing Govinda and hearing the Venu Nath, even the stones they melt. By and wherever these stones melt, Sri Krishna's lotus feet signs get impressed on those melted stones. These gopis are speaking like this. So in every chapter you will find first they will be glorified. And at the end of the chapter, in the last, gopis will feel sad. Oh, why we not Vrindavan? Why we are not the flute? Why we don't become this? Why we don't become that? So they feel guilty. So they are now praising. Look at these birds. They can witness Krishna's beauty, they can hear Krishna's Venunath, and they become achetan, unconscious. They lose their consciousness. They get so lost, so absorbed. And secondly, even these stones, they also melt. Hearing Venunath, seeing the peacocks dancing, seeing Krishna's beauty, our hearts melt? No, our hearts don't melt. This shows our hearts are, I don't know about you, but I can speak for myself. My heart is stone hearted, which doesn't melt. Because on the stone where Krishna stands and plays his flute, that stone melts. And after melting, what happens? Krishna's foot signs, they get impressed on that stone. Understood? But how are we people? We hear Krishna Katha, we hearing Krishna Kirtan, this heart is not melting. If this heart melts, then even on this heart, Krishna's foot signs would get impressed. Here, Krishna's footprints are not getting impressed. It means this heart is more hard than a stone. Our heart is more hard than a stone. So, Sakhi, what should I say? Our heart is so hard that even after hearing this Venunath, nothing happens to our heart. No transformation. No transformation happens in our heart. We don't cry. Shame on me. Shame on us. Means this life is a waste. What's the point of having this kind of life? Gopis are speaking like this. So this life is a waste because this heart doesn't melt. Yesterday, I spoke a very nice point in the Katha. I gave one example. We have one devotee here. He was giving actually this example. When Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ji, why we say Prabhupada? Some people say, what word is this Prabhupada? What does it mean? Prabhupada means, path means foot. And Prabhu means Krishna, who is always residing at the feet of Krishna. That person is called Prabhupada. It's a title, which is a big, beautiful title. In spiritual world, this is used. It has significance in spiritual world, and it's not given to ordinary people. Only to great acharyas they get this title. So they were saying that when Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ji, he once went to Hyderabad in India, in South India basically. There was one function there, and um, he went to there to speak Harikatha, and he saw many people came there to touch his lotus feet. And even this happens in, we see when we meet Gurudev, we touch his lotus feet. So many people, they were touching his lotus feet. Then near him, there was a devotee standing near him. He saw this, and Srila Prabhupada told him, the other person who was seeing, they think my lotus feet have some mercy. My lotus feet have no mercy. My speech has mercy. Everyone wants to touch my feet, but no one wants to take my Harikatha, hear Harikatha from me. By touching my feet, you can't serve me. We think, let me touch my Gurudev's lotus feet. Let me get his foot dust. It's a what is the meaning of sadhu's foot dust? The dust on his shoes. This is called foot dust? No. So what is the meaning of foot dust? Bhakta pad dhuli, bhakta pad, bhakta avshesh 3. Sorry, I missed this shloka. The foot dust of the devotees, the either of the one, then you advance in your bhakti very soon. So what does it mean? What is foot dust? The dust in his shoes, in his paduka? Not just that. Not just that. On the path these sadhugans walk, you follow them. Follow them. This is called charandhuli. This is called foot dust. You follow their moods. You follow their behavior, their nature. You get it in yourself. This is called food dust. This is called accepting their food dust. So Prabhupada said such a powerful thing there, a point, I mean to say. Srila Swami Maharaj said that my mercy is not in my feet, it's in my speech, my vani. So no kripa, no mercy in feet. Krishna's feet have mercy. Lotus feet, they have mercy. And sadhu's vani, speech, has mercy. We touch their feet so much. Even massage Gurudev. Gurudev, I would just massage you so tightly that. But Gurudev, you're tired. Yes, beta, I'm tired because of Navdi Parikrama. 20 kilometers I had to walk daily. So Gurudev, the disciple would say, an innocent disciple, his name is Bhola. Gurudev, let me massage your lotus feet. So by massaging lotus feet means let me massage your feet like this, that I break your feet and you can't even walk next day. But I won't agree with any of your point. I can massage you. I can come to Navdeep to give you massage. But whatever instructions you gave me, do bhakti, do bhajan, why are you in this world? I won't follow your speech. I won't follow your vani. Is this called service? Is this called seva? In Bhagavatam also this happens. People come to hear Harikatha. Oh, very nice Harikatha. They would touch the feet of the Guru. That's it. By just touching the feet, you won't just get transformation. You have to sit there and hear Harikatha. Because the feet are not speaking. It's the speech. Tongue is speaking from the mouth. The Harikatha that we have to hear. So sadhu's real kripa is actually in their vani, in their speech. And they won't just say anything to keep your heart. Oh yeah. I have to be good to him. He would give me some money, some donation. Not like that. This means what? This is called violence. Suicidal, spiritual suicide. If you really take that devotee as your devotee, then you would point out to correct that person. The guru would correct that person. This is the difference. So gopis are saying what? Our heart is not melting. And Govardhan's stones, Govardhan, Sheila, they are melting, hearing Krishna's Venunath. But our heart, so hard than these stones. And what else they're saying? In this verse, it is said, that inside us there is mode of passion, mode of ignorance, and mode of goodness. Mostly passion and ignorance. We are always stuck in these two modes of material nature. They are not spiritual modes. They are Maik gun, means they are the modes of material nature. Maik gun. So when mode of passion and ignorance goes away, then Vishuddha Sat would come. Transcendental gun would come. There are three guns: Satagun, Rajagun, and Tamagun. Goodness, passion, ignorance. When these gunas they are like forcing on us until and unless and until, so we can't really enter spiritual life if these modes are dominating us. We need some qualification. We need some adhikar, some yogata. And that qualification is what? Shuddha sattva. That should manifest. When that manifests, we can touch spiritual life. We can touch spiritual world. Nitya Siddh Krishna Prem. The Krishna Prem, which is the main goal of our spiritual life, human life, this by our own sadhan we cannot attain. Means our own spiritual practices. We are doing is we do a strong spiritual practice, we cannot attain Krishna Prem. So how we can attain? By Shravan Adi, by hearing Harikatha, by speaking Harikatha, by chanting Harinam on beats, by chanting our mantras, by following Ekadashi fast, by doing Dham Parikrama, Navdeep Dham Parikrama, Kartik Parikrama, and hearing Harikatha in Dham, Vrindavan, Navdeep. Those who did not see Navdeep Parikrama or Gaur Bhumi, the land of Sri Mahaprabhu, the birthplace of Mahaprabhu, if you have not seen, then it's very difficult. It's that Navdeep Dham where just by entering, what happens? One attains bhakti. Those people, those devotees who go there or who are going there, they can realize it. You can feel it. Navdeep Dham, it's um, full of mercy, compassion. Navdeep Dham. Not Vrindavan is not. It is. It is. But Vrindavan Dham is for big people, big devotees. Big people means those who don't leave their chanting. They are very pure, pious, pure Nam. They are completely absorbed in their Harinam. They follow lots of rules and regulations. Vrindavan is for them. They are big people, big devotees. It's a big place for big devotees. Vrindavan is for big people. For us, impure people, aparadhis, we don't even like to chant, no interest, no taste in chanting, and we don't have taste in chanting, no realizations. For us, Navdeep Dham is there. That Navdeep Dham, which is calling like this. Come, 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 come. This is the Dham of mercy, where everyone's offenses get removed. Everyone means even demigods. Indra, he committed some offense at the feet of Krishna. He tried to eradicate the entire Braj by heavy rainfall, where he got his offenses removed in Navdeep, Mayapur. Brahmaji, he tried to steal in Vrindavan Krishna's cows and his friends, but where he got forgiveness in Navdeep Dham, Brahmaji. Like there are many such examples. So that Navdeep Dham, if someone chants, touches the land of that Navdeep Dham, takes the air of that Navdeep Dham, drinks the water of Navdeep Dham, and says Gaur, 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 Gaur Naam, and he does the parikrama of Navdeep Dham, or he goes to different places in Navdeep Dham. When he leaves Navdeep Dham, then he takes some impressions in his heart, right? Those who go, they know this, they can realize it. This is this is a this is how this Navdeep Dham is so beautiful. And Vrindavan is what? It's a big place for big devotees. It's for we are small devotees, small people. We can't even walk yet. We are just crawling. So Navdeep Dham is teaching us how to walk, training us how to walk. And when we start walking, then like a child learns to drive, he first gets learning lessons. He's still learning yet. And when he gets learning license, he gets permanent license. So Navdeep Dham is our learning license. And when we become perfect, then we get Vrindavan. It doesn't mean don't go to Vrindavan, but do come to Navdeep. 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, 5 days. Is the entire program is for 7 days, and on the day of Mahaprabhu's appearance day, which is called Gaur Purnima, and also called Holy Festival, Mahaprabhu's Abhishek. If you take darshan of Mahaprabhu's Abhishek, or you fast on that day in Navdeep Dham, you can't imagine. You can't imagine how many sanskars of many births, the sins, they all get removed. And on that day, if you take bath in Ganga, which many devotees do, on the day of Gaur Purnima in Navdeep Dham, it is given in Shastra scriptures. That's why try hard, beg, borrow, steal. Lie if you want to lie. Beg. Fold your hands if you have to beg, but to come to Navdeep Dham at least once. Come once, and then you will keep coming again and again. It won't leave you. Navdeep Dham won't leave you. Now gopis are saying, oh, they are speaking. Oh, with the creator of this creation, when will we become so fortunate like Vrindavan Dham? Earlier, they were praying to become the flute of Krishna. Now, what they want to become? The land of Vrindavan. When we will become so fortunate like the land of Vrindavan, which is always getting the signs of Krishna's foot signs impressed. If we become land of Vrindavan, we would carry the foot signs of Krishna on our chest. But what to do? We are less fortunate. Less fortunate means we have no fortune. We are very unfortunate. We are not fortunate because we have no fortune. This is their symptom. This is a symptom of gopis. They are speaking symptom of their bhakti, their love for Krishna. Only two people can get this bhav, this mood. Either someone who has nothing, no power, no spiritual power. So they can feel what to do. I have no spiritual credits. I don't get taste in Harinam. Or he feels like this, or someone who is really at a very high level, they also feel like this. They also feel, I am so unfortunate. So unfortunate. Yeah. So though both these kind of people they feel this, but we are who in these two, the one who are at the top, big people, big devotees. No, we our reality is, and it's the humility of the gopis that they talk like this. There's difference in reality and humility. Are you getting this point? One point, one group speaks like this because it's in reality they have no taste, and another group speaks like this because they are so humble. If someone wants to sing, they will say, I don't know how to sing, and in reality they can't really sing because they don't know. I can't sing because I don't know how to sing. I'm not so good in singing. This is not their humility, this is their reality. This is their reality. But you all here are such big singers here, and these children also they sing nice kirtans. What can I sing in front of them? I feel, oh, I can't sing like them. So this is reality. But if I'm really a big singer and I say, oh, you sing so nicely, I don't sing like you. I can't sing like you. So this is not reality. This is humility. Like Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes in his one of his kirtan, um, "Amar jivan sada paper nahi koi punya." My life is always full of sins. I have no pious credits. My life, I have only just done committed sins. I have not. I don't have any pious credits. Is he speaking truth at this level where he is, the kind of personality he is, the sixth, seventh Goswami? No. He is showing humility. Out of that, he's speaking like this. And if we speak this, then this is not our humility. It's our reality. So there's difference in reality and humility. They both look same, but they are not same. So even like this, if we say, oh, my heart is not melting, I'm chanting, I'm hearing Harikatha, but here Gopis are saying, we want to become the land of Vrindavan and we want to get the foot signs of Krishna on our chest. Oh, we are so unfortunate. Oh, we are so unfortunate. Oh, we are so unfortunate. So this is not their reality of this is not the reality of gopis. This is their humility. And if we say this, for us, this is our reality. This is the difference. This is the difference. Now, further, they are saying that with Krishna, on this land of Vrindavan, with Krishna, peacocks can also dance with their she peacocks and no one can stop them. But If I tell you to come for Navdeep Parikrama, oh Maharaj, our husband won't let me come. He won't let me come. Maharaj, my wife is fighting with me. She's not letting me come. So many obstacles they come. But here, peacocks and she peacocks, they are dancing together with Krishna. No one is stopping them. Gopis are focusing on this point. They're focusing on this point. Here, they have no obstacles, peacocks. That's why with Krishna, this he peacock and she peacock, they both are dancing. Can we also dance with our husbands after hearing Krishna's Vinunad? Can we dance with our husbands? Gopis are saying this. Can this happen? Krishna is playing his flute. We also come with our husbands and dance with Krishna. No, we can't do this. We are what? We are unfortunate. Durbhaginiya. Unfortunate. We are very less fortunate. Now, gopis are seeing their love for Krishna in them. Like some devotees, they come with their family for Kartik Parikrama, Navdeep Parikrama, which is just coming now. And in so, so some people they start saying, "Oh wow, you are so lucky. Your entire family is coming for Parikrama, husband, wife, children, parents, and look at us. We have to lie to our husband. I will serve you. I will massage your feet. I'll do everything, but please let me go to Navdi Parikrama." She has to beg to her husband. This is the experience of many Matajis. Someone is writing to me, yeah, this is true. I have to convince my husband like this, like this. Please let me go for 7 days. I will serve you a lot. I won't demand anything from you. I won't even ask a sari from you, but please let me go to Navdeep. Other side, the husband says, "Oh, my dear wife, please let me go to Navdeep Parikrama. For 7 days, I get sadhu sang in Navdeep. All day I get absorbed there. Let me go." Oh, children are convincing their parents, "My father would kill me if I go to Navdeep for Parikrama. My father is very strict." But these families are so fortunate who are coming with their entire family and no one is stopping them. Even we have such families. But beg, borrow, steal. Lie? You're telling us to lie, Gurudev? Are you? This is not lie. It's eternal truth. Where you have to lie for Bhagwan, that lie is not a lie. And by go, if you go, what is the benefit of others? Those who have connection with you, your parents, your husband, your wife, your children, or they also get credit because they let you go. Because when you come, when you go back, you will bring prasad for them, or you will get the dust of Navdeep. And when they sleep, you put on their head the dust, Raj of Navdeep Dham. So gopis are saying we are so unfortunate. Our husbands are so against this event. He peacocks are not stopping she peacocks. But can we dance with Krishna with our husbands? No, our husbands are against this. But look at these peacocks. Even these branches of Vrindavan, these he deers, the branches, okay, he deers and she deers, even all the birds, they can go near Krishna. They can go, but we are not so fortunate. We will never get this fortune that we can go near Krishna and get his association, and we keep his lotus feet on our chest out of love. We can never get this chance. We are very helpless, abla. We have no strength, no spiritual strength. That is why all the birds they are seeing, the peacocks which the gopis are seeing, in them they are seeing their moods, their bhav. They are fortunate. We am not. We are not. So we want what? We want to in we want to take birth in Vrindavan in some other species so that we get the association of Krishna. This will be the success of our life. If we take birth again in Vrindavan in some other species, but we don't want to be gopi again. It's so much painful to be a gopi. We can't be with Krishna. We should become a bird or animal or a branch or a tree, anything but not gopi. Because this has so much pain. You can't go near Krishna. We can't go near Krishna. We can't serve him. We can't love him. What's the point of having this gopi body if we can't serve Krishna? So from this we can understand one more point. Our chapter is ending here now. The 10th verse ended. But we have to understand one more point. What are gopis teaching us here through this verse? Gopis are saying here that in spiritual life, in spiritual world, the more we say hi means what? Not this hi, not greeting hi, but uh, again and again, the more we uh, mm, the more we feel sorry or guilty. I missed this service. I couldn't do this service properly. The more we see like faults in us, the more we say that I missed this chance. I wish I could get this chance. The more we get better, advance in bhakti. But again, always remember this point. There's difference in reality and humility. I'm actually I'm actually speaking reality or I'm really humble. Here, what gopis are saying, it's their humility, their humbleness. Externally, it's looking reality. Let's end it here. Okay, externally, it's looking that yeah, everybody can go to Krishna, but we can't go. Gopis cannot go. So it's looking actually a fact. But Krishna is thinking of whom? This is also we have to think and understand. Krishna is not meditating on those birds, on those or those trees. No. Krishna is not meditating on the cows. No. Even even gopis are far from Krishna. Those people, those personalities who are far from Krishna, Krishna is meditating on them. Where meeting is very difficult, the meditation becomes more prominent. This is the language of love. Where meeting is difficult, and if meeting is difficult, that's why the meditation increases. And if your meeting is very easy, the meditation also decreases. This is durlabhta. Durlabhta. Durlabhta means rare. Durlabhta means rare. In spiritual world, in bhakti, the path of bhakti, in Krishna Prem, it's a big uh, jewel, ornament, durlabhta. In that, the more rare it is to meet with Krishna, the more one will be near Krishna. The more one is distant from Krishna and it becomes difficult to meet Krishna, the more one will be near Krishna. And Rupa Goswami said in Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, Klesh Agni Shukta Moksh Lahu Sudurlabha. So this attracts Krishna. When one person, one devotee, uh, does bhakti, he starts doing bhakti. Like from a plant, two leaves they sprout. One leaf is Klesh Agni. Klesh Agni means what? Our sins for many lives, past lives. These are called Klesh. Kalesh. Kalesh means clash. Klesh means clash in English. Clash of sins. Actually, in Hindi, klesh also means fighting, but here klesh means our sins from previous, many births. They get removed, they get settled, and shubda, which auspiciousness comes. Everyone starts loving you. You start loving everyone. This is shubda. We will hear this in detail some other day, but with this one another point comes here with sudurlabhata, that bhakti which is very rare, not just rare, sudurlabhata, very rare. One gets that bhakti also, which is sudurlabh. Durlabh means rare, sudurlabh means very rare. It's actually, let's end it here. It's a Mangala Aarti is going to start now, and then we will try to connect at the same time to hear Harikatha. You, thank you for. I'll be available for you for serving you all again to speak Venugit. So all chutis cancelled, all holidays cancelled, cancelled. This is emergency. Every day we have to speak Harikatha. Hare Krishna.